What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back in another video. In today's video, we have another pretty much full off-season GM simulator. So we get to manage the roster in the off-season. We get to see what a computer thinks we do in the 25-26 season as well as the 26-27 season, and it shows us all the results. So we're gonna simulate um, all the remaining games. And see where it has us. I believe that means we win. We do in fact beat the Colts by 3. So we face the Steelers. So the computer has the Steelers beaten. They have them losing to the Ravens. Excuse me. Don't know how that means that the Steelers make the playoffs, but um, them goes the break sometimes. We'll simulate this, see how the Texans stand up in this playoffs, and they make it to the divisional, ultimately lose, and the Broncos lose to the Panthers in the Super Bowl of all teams. Um, but it doesn't really mean much to us. The only thing we cared about, I guess you can technically pick the Texans to win the Super Bowl, but it had it like this. Panthers are going to win the Super Bowl this year, according to Pro Football Network. So there is that. We're going to continue over into the offseason. After losing in the divisional, you are going to want to really reinvest in the squad and make it a lot better than it was in this past postseason. So you're going to look to restructure Daniil Hunter, uh, Titus Howard, Nico Collins, and Eric Stingley, I think pretty much automatically. Other guys you can look to restructure or cut. You're not cutting Dalton Schultz, excuse me, or Aziz or Petrie. So I think you could restructure all those top 6 guys. You're going to look to cut Joe Mixon, sadly. Just due to injury history, I don't think he's going to have that much value. So I think you just cut him, and you look to reinvest in running back in the offseason because I don't know if he ever comes back from the injury and becomes the level of player that he is. I was suggested to do this in my last video. I am going to cut Mario Edwards. I think $4.5 million there is pretty valuable to the Texans, excuse me, especially if you're not planning on restructuring all these guys and going into cap hell for next year. So that's what we're looking to do. Cut Mario Edwards there. Tremont Smith and Justin Watson can both go. Other than that, you're looking to cut potentially Juice Scruggs. I think he's a decent enough player that I see the rationale for keeping him around, but I think the team will prioritize money. Dylan Horton's been decent in rotation. Other than that, you're looking to cut guys like Keontae Hamilton probably, and that is all. I don't know if it's going to make me re-sign guys like um, Elijah Huzzy, for example, or Woody Marks, which it is, um, $1 million per year. It should just be accepted automatically. So I don't mind these just because, um, that's cap space we usually wouldn't have that it's giving to us for just having them around. Does that mean Ed Ingram would sign for one? Okay, at least it has some logic to it. So we're here on this screen, and you can see the amount of players that the Texans are set to lose this season. And you're not bringing back Joe Mixon, in my opinion. You're not bringing back any of these guys. Damian Pierce isn't even part of the team. I think you bring back Jawar on like a $1.5 million for like 60% guaranteed, probably over the next 3. That's accepted. And then other than that, I think you let Kirk go, Justin Watson go, Barrios go, Cephas, Wayne, Kelly. I don't think they're that important. Brevin Jordan got brought back in real life, so I'll bring him back here if it lets me allocate the money correctly. $2 million per year for Brevin Jordan. He is brought back. Other than that, Trent Brown is the guy that I'm going to let walk in this one, just to see if the tackle market is as good as it seems. Ed Ingram, I'm going to bring back. I think 7.5 to 8 million is pretty fair for him. So we'll go 7.5 over the next 3 because he's only 26 years old. Very good player for the Texans this year, and we are able to bring him back for $7.5 million there. Other than that, Mario Edwards is the question. If you're able to get him for around 3 over, or sorry, that was 2. 3 for 1 year, fully guaranteed. I think that's something you would take. So you save $1.5 million by doing that. Sheldon Rankins is going to require around like 11 over 2 probably, and you're going to have to nearly fully guarantee that, and even then, it doesn't go through. But I'm persistent on this 11 number. Maybe we just make it 95% guaranteed or fully guaranteed, and it's still rejected. So maybe you wait for Rankins in free agency there, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold off on that one. Other than that, you're losing a lot of your D tackle depth in this free agent class, so pretty fortunate that you're able to bring back Mario Edwards for less than his market value, most likely. And then Tim Settle, if you're able to bring him back for around like 2.5 over the next year, then I think that's something you should really consider. And it is accepted, so there is some very valuable D tackle depth there coming back. Um, Danico Autry is the other one, as well as Derek Barnett. I think Derek Barnett, if you can get him for around 4 over the next two, for like 85% guaranteed, that's not accepted. If you go 4 pretty much fully guaranteed, then could you get that over the line? No, you cannot. So we'll give you 4.5. If not, then I will revisit you in free agency, buddy. But that is accepted, so fair enough to him on that. Danico Autry, I think, is very valuable for us, so we'll go 8.25 over the next year, fully guaranteed, and hopefully you take that. You don't. What about 8.5 over the next year, fully guaranteed? Because just to how pivotal he is to our rush downs, and that is accepted. So I really don't mind that money going to him at all. Other than that, you're losing Kavon Wallace, who I think's been good. And if you give him this, he's probably okay. He's not accepting that. Maybe if you give him 1.5, 85% guaranteed, that's going to be accepted. And it is. So at least we're right there. Tommy Townsend, I think, would be around $3 million, probably over 2 years. You're going to fully guarantee it just because it's a punter. And I think that's going to be accepted pretty much automatically, and it is. So there is that. There's a lot of guys coming back here. EJ Speed's the next one you want to visit probably, and I'm going to give him 4 over 2 years, probably fully guaranteed. And hopefully he does take that. He does not. So 4.5 is where I'm drawing the line, just because it's what he's on right now. And I think he's played well enough to guarantee himself a better contract, but I think what I'm offering him fully guaranteed is what he'd prefer over 2 years, fully guaranteed, and that is accepted. So there is that. Christian Harris, I think you could give 2 over 2 years, pretty much fully guaranteed, and I think that should be accepted as well, and it is. Um, and then you're kind of just looking at other guys, thinking, who do we really bring back? And I don't think there's much that you really like here to bring back, besides potentially Trent Brown. But I did say I'm experimenting with him gone in this free agency. So we're going to enter it with $50 million there. You can see the amount of players we did end up re-signing, which is a very healthy amount compared to other teams. You can see the Ravens kind of re-signed a lot of guys too that they are losing. Tyler Linderbaum only for $6.5 million, so some of these prices are a little bit skewed. But we head to free agency, and I hate that it is A to Z. And I think I saw Alec Pierce there. Am I wrong for saying that I did? AL. Alec Pierce is there from the Colts. Really good player there. But we are just going to. Can you not use the? I guess you're gonna have to use these. You see, Brees Hall is there. You can see that other good backs like a. I guess I'm gonna have to scroll down a little bit more, like an Elijah Mitchell, like an Emmanuel Wilson, Omari DeMarcado are all there. And if you look at our roster right now, we have 2 running backs. So we are going to look to spend a little bit here. And I think Brees Hall is the obvious one. I like Jamal Williams. I like Javonte Williams. And, I think you're between Javonte or Brees if you're in this open market. But at the same time, there are guys like Travis Etienne, Tyler Algier here. And for today, I am actually going to go Tyler Algier. I think you can get him for around $6 million, but for this, we'll give him 4.5, pretty much fully guaranteed, and I think that should be accepted, and it is. So there's your new lead back in Tyler Algier. You can get a guy to be a depth piece, but I think Woody Marks is perfectly fine as a depth piece there. At wide receiver, you can see the core is pretty good. So you have Tyler Algier leading your backfield now, and you are looking to other positions to upgrade potentially, or you want to double dip at running back and go for Brees Hall. And we can see how cheap we get this too in this. If you go 8 million fully guaranteed, that's accepted. So, yeah, a little unrealistic there, but fair enough. Go to tight end. You can look for a second tight end just in case you don't trust the health of others. Pretty funny that I got Brees Hall and Tyler Algier for basically the price of one Brees Hall, but that's the way the cookie crumbled in this one. Other than that, I think Jake Tonges would be a guy that the Texans could look at here. If you give him around $3 million, I think that should get him through across the line here for 80% accepted, and it does. Uh, Guy that's very good out the tight end slot for catching the ball as well as blocking. Basically a knockoff George Kittle, but if you're at George Kittle's level, then you're the best tight end in the league. But he's the backup to George Kittle, but I think he's performed very well in George Kittle's absence when needed to. And I think he's a guy that's going to get a decent amount of money in free agency, and I think he could become a Texan just because of his affiliation with D'Amico. Um, and the amount that Nick Caley loves his tight ends. So we'll see there. You want to look at the offensive tackle position in this one, probably pretty heavy because you don't bring back um, Trent Brown in this one. So we'll see what the options are here. You could bring in David Bakhtiari for a 1 year deal if you really want to try that out. Dwayne Brown is there. Um, George Fant is a serviceable tackle, but I think the one that I've been looking at and I really like for the Texans is Jermaine Illuminor. They are from the Giants. Why is Kelvin Banks there? That makes no sense. Yeah, I really like Jermaine Illuminor's game there from the Giants. I think he's improved a lot and just become massively overrated. So that's what I'm going to look at here. That's who I am going to bring in. I don't know how much he's going to ask for in free agency this year, but I'm assuming it's going to be around like 11 million. But for this one, everything's pretty low inflated, but also the cap space is a little messed up. So that's why I'm undershooting some guys, and that one's actually not accepted for the first time. So maybe this one's a little accurate. We'll go 6.5, and that should very well be accepted. And it's not. Maybe 8. I think 8 could be a very fair market value for Jermaine Illuminor in free agency, but obviously teams are going to overspend on their tackles pretty heavily, and that one is accepted. And then you look at the offensive guard position, you don't have much there. So you're looking at guys that can step in case Titus Howard gets injured. And I think one of those is David Edwards or Dylan Raduns, but they're going to require a lot of money because they are very, very good pieces themselves. So I think you're looking at a Jordan Meredith who's decent. You can bring back Juice Scruggs. You can bring in a big name like a Kevin Zeitler. Bring back Ladarius Henderson or Laken Robinson. Um, but as I'm scrolling, I don't see the options there that I really particularly like. I wish it would just let me change Titus Howard's position. Um, Wyatt Teller's nice. Zach Martin's nice, obviously, but older guys that you're bringing on 1 year deals. Um, So, I think here you're kind of looking at probably Chris Paul to bring in for about $1.5 million over 2 years or so. A guy that's been very decent over there in Miami, and then I believe Washington for a little bit of a stint. But yeah, really decent player, really decent rotation piece for any team that's going to pick him up in free agency this year. So that's going to be my choice there. Over at center, there's going to be a lot of options like an Ethan Pocic, like a Cam Jurgens that I really like. And if you can get Cam Jurgens for around $4 million in on this simulator, then I'm taking that all day. And you do. So there is that. Looking to tackle. You could go for Aaron Donald if you want. Um, I really wish this was not A to Z and just rather ranked, but um, Deshaun Hand's not bad. You're looking for a guy that can come in and be kind of a depth piece there just in case others get hurt. Fletcher Cox is there. Don't ask me why. Hassan Ridgeway is not bad. Other than that, you're looking at guys like John Ridgeway. Funny enough, that isn't bad either. Um, Junior Tafana could be a guy that you look at. Mm, LJ Collier's not bad. He's around 30 years old. Logan Hall's probably one of the pristine options on the market. So I think if you get him for probably like 8 million in real life, that's what he's going to go for. Probably 5.5 here. And that is ultimately accepted. Edge rusher, you're kind of content at. Same with linebacker, same with corner. Safety is the other one that you're looking at. And then nothing else really. Maybe a long snapper after you don't bring back Austin Brinkman for some reason. He's a free agent in this. Andre Cisco's there, who I really like. Um, Other than that, Kobe Bryant is the one that I really, really like going into free agency. So That's who I'm gonna go for here for 5.5 million over 2 years, pretty much fully guaranteed, and that is accepted. So $10 million remaining. Austin Brinkman's still there. We'll just bring him in for 5 years, fully guaranteed, whatever. Um, and I think that sums up the free agency, unless you want to look at bringing in another offensive guard for around $9 million. So there's if there's a better option on the market like a David Edwards or Dylan Radens, who you can bring in for around $8 million, might as well splash the cash there a little bit, give him a fully guaranteed contract across 1 year, and that is ultimately accepted. So you complete free agency, bringing in a pretty healthy sum of guys, similar to what the Ravens do, or who's the Lions do, Rams, Dolphins, Giants, Steelers, Seahawks all do. But it's time now for the mock draft, or the NFL draft in this. You can see that it is starting already. Excuse me. I was going to say you can see we're there at 26. There are teams calling our phone to potentially allow us to move back, but you can see who is there at the top right of my screen, and that is Spencer Fano. And one thing you know about me is if Spencer Fano falls to the Texans, I'm going to want us to take him or Olavega Ione. And in this case, he does end up falling for some reason. Um, we don't have the Commanders' picks. So I don't know why that's the case. That's very bizarre. So maybe we propose a trade to someone around that area and just try to pick up more picks, like the Panthers potentially. If you go to the Panthers, you say, "I'll give you 26." You give us that, and that would that be accepted? No. Um, yeah, I don't know why we don't have the Commanders pick here. Someone pointed that out to me. I completely forgot. Um, but if we get okay, I know how to fix this. You go 2027 first, and we get 37 and 106. Um, and then we need the Giants' third round pick as well. So that's been rejected. Okay. Um, I'm gonna try to fix this because I don't know why we don't have these. We'll give all this for 37. Not accepted. Okay. Why is it not accepted? Don't ask me. Um, yeah. Well, I mean, just give us 37. I don't know what you want for 37, dude. It's not that valuable. Um, a first and a second for 37 should get okay. It's just being stingy now. One, two. If we give you our entire 2027 draft class, will you give us number 37? No. Okay. So that's a little bit ridiculous. Giants, if we give you this, would you give us 69? No. Okay. Would you, if I give you a first next year, would you give us 69? No. Okay. Okay. That's very realistic. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit flawed because we don't have 66, nor do we have 37, which we do in real life. So, um, I don't know what to do. Um, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to go with the flow on this one and then change it in the next one by controlling the Commanders and Giants and then trading them. But for this one, we'll go Spencer Fano, and they have us going Mateo Uyunglele, um, technically, but I would like to go for an Emmanuel Pregnon or a Amari Washington there, ideally, or an AJ Halsey, but we have to wait till 57 for some reason, and no, I'm not taking that. Here at 57, though, you have some decent options there. And I'm going to look to bolster the um, safety room, most likely. And I like Dylan Tinnamans' game a decent amount. You watch that game against Texas Tech, he looked great. Other than that, you probably have some guys down the board that should be further up the board, like a Deontay Lawson, um, a Connor Liu. Yeah, this I don't know. I don't agree with these rankings at all, to be honest. But it's the way the cricket crumbles in this one. For this one, I do like Dylan Tinnamans' game, so that's who I'm going to go with there at 60. What was it? Or 57? Yeah, 57. And then at 90, um, you do have guys that you really like down here, and Connor Lute is in fact one of them. I know I brought in Cam Jurgens, but I think you could use a backup center who can play guard for you if you'd like. The only ranking I agree with is Clev Lubin being up there. Um, I think PFF does him a little dirty, but here at 125, I am going to go with a um, guy that can really bolster our help against the run game, and that is going to be Dominique Orange. I think he's one of the better run defenders in this class. And I'm kind of speed running this just because of how unrealistic it is, because we literally don't have two picks that we do in in real life in this draft. And all the way down at 166, somehow Jacob Rodriguez is still there, as well as Jake Slaughter. But Jacob Rodriguez is such a good player that I'm going with him there at 166. I do prefer Jake Golday's game to him. Romello Heights all the way down at 202. Yeah, this is a little absurd. Nicky Prongos is still there. Um, yeah, just not the best rankings in my humble opinion. Skylar Gill Howard's all the way down there. That's probably due to size, but I mean, yeah, I don't know where they got half of these. Um, but you see Nicky Prongos there. You could use the tackle depth. I think I did this the last time, to be honest, but it doesn't make sense not to, in my opinion. So that's going to be my pick there. And then at 240, my last pick in the draft, I think you go with a guy that can come in place corner to help out um, the depth that we have, and I think Cameron Calhoun's a decent guy there. Not really too great, but you know, a decent guy. And let's see what they predict us to go. I hope that next they really give us our picks, because that's what a mock draft should be. It should be drafting your picks. But um, yeah, we'll do all the remaining league games. We start out 1-0. We start out 2-0. Start out 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3. Don't know where we are. We're 4-6. Is that right? We're 5-6. Excuse me. The Ravens are 11-0. And we play the Eagles next, so we're not gonna make the playoffs in this again. I don't think we did last time. We're 5-9. We're 5-10. 5-11. So yeah, this is proving to not be the most reliable outlook, as the Falcons end up being the 1 seed next year. So we look at the final results. You can see that we ended 6-11 after losing 4 straight and then 5 straight. So yeah, there's 9 losses in about 10 weeks there, and yeah, just not the best simulator there, but whatever. They have us picking sixth in the draft next year after going 6-11, and finishing second in the AFC South. They really love the Colts. They really hate the Jaguars. They really hate us. They really hate the Patriots, as well as the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Rams. The AFC West is stacked as always, but yeah, just some interesting simulation there. But yeah, I hope y'all did enjoy this video. I hope you enjoyed the haul that we brought in free agency. You can see our roster guys that we brought in, as in Brees Hall, Tyler Algier, Jake Tonjes, Nicky Prongo, Spencer Fano, Jermaine Illuminor, um, Dylan Raduns, Chris Paul, Cam Jurgens, Mario Edwards Jr., Logan Hall, Tim Settle, Danico Autry, Derek Barnett, Jacob Rodriguez, Christian Harris, and EJ Speed coming back, and then Dylan Tinneman, Kobe Bryant to help out our safety unit. So yeah, I think we got a great haul in this video. I just think the simulator doesn't agree with the fact that we got a great haul, but whatever. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe. I'm gonna try to set it up better next time, but at the same time, it is very difficult because no matter what I do, it doesn't seem like they really care for what we do in terms of predictions. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'll try to find a new website next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.